So, next question from Jerry. I'm a regular listener and enjoy practically all your discussions with Ari. I have to say I was disappointed in your lazy take on USC's 2024 season. You mentioned the Trojans' many close losses, but like all college football observers, you failed to note they had an equal number of close wins. Including their bowl game, USC went 7-6 with 5 one-score losses and 5 one-score wins. Why look at only one side of the ledger? Is there some sports writer rule that says look only at the close losses? This is a very fair question from Jerry.
Also, I was not at all. Jerry, I love you, buddy. I was not positive at all about their season last year.
Not your fault. No, this is me.
This is on you.
This is me saying if you reverse some of the close losses, we're not looking at such a bad situation for USC.
Yeah.
And that we shouldn't be so down on them going into this season, because I feel like you and a lot of other people are very down on USC going into the season. But Jerry's not wrong. Jerry's not wrong. If you had an equal number of close wins, those results could easily be flipped too, and you're in the same situation you were in last year. You have essentially the same year over again. So
I think that when you have close wins and close losses, and that's your entire schedule, then you ended up what you probably should have been. So I agree with that. Like the notion of they could have been 10.
This is a very fair criticism of my argument.
Well, I think that the reason why you do this is if you win a game, even if it's by one, you won, and you get to use that win as you won. You can't relitigate losses. So
here's where I would have a better leg to stand on. So the Penn State game is one of these games. That game actually went to overtime. Penn State was obviously very good, made the Final Four. USC was that close to Penn State. If all of their losses were to teams like Penn State, and they were close like that, then it would help my argument. But where Jerry's correct, and all of the losses weren't to teams like Penn State. There was one in Maryland. There was one in Minnesota. The version of Michigan that they played when they played them, let's be honest, they shouldn't have lost to. So Jerry's right. Jerry's right on this. I probably did take a lazy look at that.
But I don't even know if that's you. I think that's everybody. I think that when you get a win, you don't think about, well, what if they would have lost that one? You think about the losses. That's just natural human nature.
That's human nature. But he's right. From a mathematical standpoint, from a probability standpoint, we need to take a look at both.
Yeah, and I also think too that USC being what they were last year was exactly what they should have been, because they got the benefit of winning close games and they had the unfortunate reality of losing a bunch of close games. But if you're in a bunch of close games, any team who plays one possession games every week is probably going to find themselves on the wrong end of the spectrum half the time. That's just math.
Yeah.
So, that
unless you're Nebraska all those years and you lost all of them.
But that was a mathematical anomaly that people at casinos are still studying.
So I apologize, Trojan fans. I was trying to blow some sunshine, and Jerry got me.
Which is crazy, because you picked a hell of a time to use that question, because USC fans are not happy with us right now.
Oh, they're so mad at us.
They're already mad. So
but they don't even understand why they should be mad. They're mad because we left them off the best jobs list. And then they start giving reasons for why they should be on the best jobs list. And I'm like, those aren't reasons. Ari, in the past 60 years, USC has had 2 coaches that have led them to what they expect to be. John Robinson and Pete Carroll. 2 Hall of Fame level coaches. What does that sound like to you?
In fairness, though, when Lincoln Riley took the job, I would have put them in the top 10 that summer.
Okay. Well, no, we probably would have incorrectly put it in on the list, because Lincoln Riley thought it was a better job than Oklahoma.
Right.
Probably he was running away from the SEC. And by the way, USC being in the Big Ten makes it a different job too.
Let's unpack that stuff too, though. Is USC a harder job than Lincoln Riley thought it was, or is Lincoln Riley doing a bad job?
Well, USC priority is one of the people who got mad at us. Just stop speaking on us in general. You guys don't care about the West or trying to stay up to date. Up to date? You guys went 7-5 last year. That's up to date. Recruiting class is good this year. Recruiting class was good this time last year.
USC priority. Please, you can't look me in the eye and say I don't care about the West Coast. I love the West Coast. It's my favorite place in the world, and my entire life goal is to live there. And USC was like the epitome of cool when I was growing up. And I tried to leave the Ohio State beat multiple times to cover USC in my professional career because of my desire to want to be around it and be there. So that's just because you like them and we're saying things that you don't like about the thing that you like doesn't mean we don't.
What amazes me is the people getting mad at us saying their job is hard. The job's hard. If the job was easy, Lincoln Riley would have already gone to the playoff a bunch of times and Ari wouldn't have had to pay me $1,000.
I had to pay $1,000 because I agreed with USC priority when Lincoln Riley was hired, and I was wrong.
Yeah,
I have less money.
The job's hard.
I could be putting that into my rotting wall right now.
USC and Florida are the same job. They've been, in the modern era of football, fairly mediocre when they haven't had a Hall of Fame level coach.
Also, too, we didn't say this, but it has to be said. The USC job has become increasingly harder because of the emergence of Oregon.
And because they're in the Big Ten now.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, they used to be the king and badasses of the West Coast. And one of the two coaches that you mentioned got them to where they wanted to go, did it before Oregon was even a thought. Oregon wasn't even a thing back then. So you had Pete Carroll, who you might, and was Oregon, where was Oregon?
Oregon was good when Pete Carroll was there.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
But they weren't, that was like the Mike Bellotti years where they were good, but they weren't
they were getting there, but they weren't there yet. Yeah.
And in Oregon recruits the hell out of California. So not only do they have a harder time recruiting their own state, there's a question of whether or not the talent in that state is even as good as the other states in the country. Let's talk about that for a second. California has a bunch of really, really highly rated players all the time in the top 100, and it doesn't hit at the same rate as Southern players do. So there's a question of whether or not the California players that they use to subsidize their entire roster are good enough. How many five-star players at USC signed during the Clay Helton era that turned out to be dog shit? It happened all the time. And I don't know if that was a developmental issue but the California, they're the best players in the country thing, I think is not true right now. There's a lot underneath the hood about USC that you have to acknowledge is difficult. And because you're a fan of them, if you don't want to do that, that's fine. But it's right in front of your face. Oregon, California talent, harder schedule, different time zone, everything is less advantageous than the 10 schools that we had on the list. It's not that difficult. It's not that difficult to put together.
Yeah. And I don't understand, the getting mad about the job thing.
All California players.
We said your job's not easy. We weren't insulting you. Your job has challenges.
Yeah.
It's not an insult. And if you don't think your job has challenges, then you actually really need to take a hard look at what's going on at your school now. This is what I want to ask all the USC fans who are mad at us. If you think it's a top 10 job, then give me your honest appraisal of Lincoln Riley's performance in it. Because you can't say it's a top 10 job without saying he's failed. If you think he's failed, then I'm fine with you saying it's a top 10 job. If you think he hasn't failed, then it's not a top 10 job.
It might not even be a top 20
because at a top 10 job, what he's done would not be acceptable.
Yeah. I thought
I got LSU on this list. If Brian Kelly goes 8-4, they're going to view him as a failure this year.
Yeah.
They're going to view his entire tenure as a failure if he goes 8-4.
How many of the jobs on our list would have not fired their coach with Lincoln Riley's first 3-year performance?
All of them would have fired the coach. Well, Oklahoma hasn't fired Venables.
Well, how many years?
But he did have a 10-win season.
LSU is in the same boat, though, and they haven't fired Kelly yet.
But LSU similar to USC because they had the best year
time, and they had their best year in the first year, and they've gotten progressively worse. Now, LSU has also had a Heisman. Well, USC had. I mean, they're kind of virtually the same. They both had Heisman. They had really awesome offenses with bad defenses.
And the difference between LSU and USC on this list is LSU's won national titles with 3 different coaches in this century, and USC's won national title with 1 coach.
Did we just unintentionally stumble on, is Brian Kelly going to be on the hot seat? Is that what just happened here?
Ari, have you been paying attention the entire offseason?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I'm the one who was on the hot seat
we
last
had a
year.
whole show about that like 2 months ago.
But like, should he be on the actual hot seat this year if they don't make the playoff?
I mean, in terms of if they're just going to pay to fire him, they're not going to do that.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, both have also offered obscene guaranteed contracts they can't get out of.
Yeah,
maybe
that's the issue. Like, you could want to do it. Yeah, I don't know if you're going to do it, but yeah, for USC, you have to decide: is it a top 10 job or is Lincoln Riley failing? Because they can't both of them have to be true if it's a top 10 job.
Yeah, and also beating another team that's on the list doesn't mean that it's not like that's how ranking. It's not like a ranking of how it works.
Yeah, it's one game.
But also, too, USC priority, we understand based on
your name. You lost to Minnesota and Maryland.
So do we throw Maryland?
Guess what? That erases it.
Like, I don't know. Yeah, but I understand his passion, and I understand that he loves his team. And, like, honestly, lists are very shiny and pretty and fire you up, but when you actually like pull back the curtain and like listen to the context, it's like not an insult. So
my favorite is the people, and this is not the USC fans. This is everybody. Your list is so biased. Your list is completely subjective. No shit, Sherlock. It's a list.
I also want to know.
Of course, it's subjective.
Like, here's the thing. There are certain jobs on my list that I think I would rather have the USC job over because of who I am and where I'd want to live.
Because where you want to live. Yeah.
I mean, you just saw the Lincoln Riley Zillow page, and like you remember, like I pissed off the entire city of Norman, Oklahoma when I said who would want to live in Norman over. Remember that whole fiasco?
Yeah. Oh, I remember well.
Yeah. Like, honestly speaking, I'm trying to think of like if let's just say Nick Saban wanted to return next year or something, and there was a hot shot coach who could get any job in the world. Like, all these jobs are the jobs that he would consider. He wouldn't. I mean, USC would probably be in that mix too, and like they're probably in between 10 and 17 somewhere, right? Like on both of our lists.
Yeah, but he'd take all of these over.
Yeah, and I know that I've got a weird one on there. I know A&M's on there, but again, I mean, USC did offer Lincoln Riley $100 million of guaranteed money. And they gave him.
And I would happily take it.
They gave him a housing allowance to buy a house with a view of the Pacific Ocean in a resort style backyard. So if you want to take all the football stuff out of it and just say, what do you get to do if you're USC's head coach? That's probably a pretty good thing. But I read somewhere that he's like sleeps in the USC building half the time because it's too much.
But that's all these guys. Like, none of these guys enjoy where they live. Like, they don't care where they live.
No, I just thought that LA was different traffic wise for him to try to commute home. I don't think that Ohio State coaches sleep at the Woody. They drive home at 9:30 p.m. with no traffic in Ohio.
There's no traffic between Columbus and Dublin.
If you live in
that time of day,
driving from USC's campus to your beautiful resort style Pacific Ocean front house would be a pain in the ass every day. He's got a great life. Lincoln Riley's doing fine.
That'll do it outdoors. We're talking about football, not going downtown for the movies and clubbing. Exactly.